Rink Wide Vancouver, pre-game, post-game, every game presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at bodog.net. Wadden and JPat here with you with another edition of the pre-game show as the Canucks get set to face off against the St. Louis Blues. And I know one thing, JPat, they're going to have to be better than they were against the Winnipeg Jets the other night.
Yeah, but let's be honest, that's a pretty low bar. If they can't hurdle that, then there are bigger issues with this Vancouver Hockey Club than I think any of us imagined in the first place. Yes, they've got to be better than they were against the Jets. It took them 15 minutes to get their second shot on goal. They only had 3 in that first period, fell behind yet again. First period's now becoming a bit of an issue. The last 3 games, the Canucks have been outshot in first periods, 41-14. So time for them to rally around each other, figure it out, and just play like they mean it, because, all this talk the other night about what happened and what went wrong against Winnipeg, it looked like an optional skate on Saturday night. That cannot be the case here against the St. Louis Blues tonight.
Let's get to the lineup change presented by our friends, the Delaneys, out at OK Tire on Fraser Highway in Langley. We don't know a whole lot because there was an optional skate this morning. What can you tell us about tonight's lineup?
Well, if people were hoping the Canucks were going to get a shot in the arm with the return of Elias Pettersson, that is not going to happen. And we saw what happened, and we saw what they looked like without EP40 in the lineup against the Jets. They looked lost, quite frankly, but they're going to have to find a way to pick up the pieces in his absence, because this illness is carrying on, and apparently didn't practice yesterday, wasn't part of the optional skate this morning. So a second straight game without their leading scorer and their best player. And so that makes life difficult. And you saw firsthand just how tough it was for them against the Jets. So they know that they aren't going to have the services of Elias Pettersson. The power play was completely out of sorts against the Jets. We'll see if these guys can put it together and put forth a better effort tonight. They have to. And again, the bar's pretty low. I don't think they can be a whole lot worse than they were against the Jets 2 nights ago.
This is the start of a big week for the Canucks. 3 teams that they're chasing right now in the standings going to have a good effort tonight against these Blues.
Yeah, if the Canucks are serious about staying with this chase pack and staying within an arm's reach of the playoff bar in the West, then this feels significant. They have 1 win in the last 2 weeks, and part of that's due to the schedule. They just haven't played an awful lot, but they did beat the Calgary Flames last Wednesday, but a home ice loss to Minnesota last Saturday, the one against the Jets this past Saturday. Everybody else picking up points around them in the standings. They come into action tonight just 2 points back of the St. Louis Blues. Well, if the Blues beat the Canucks in regulation, there's 2 more points for St. Louis, and then the Blues go to Seattle tomorrow night and face the Kraken. Well, somebody's winning that game. Somebody's picking up points there. Calgary took care of San Jose last night. The Flames are in San Jose for another game back-to-back against the Sharks, so a pretty good chance that Calgary will pick up points, and it just raises the stakes for this Vancouver Hockey Club that, if they don't get points against a team like the Blues tonight, then they're in danger of letting that chase pack slip away from them. So, yeah, fairly significant for the Vancouver Canucks to be better and ultimately to find a way to get 2 points out of this hockey game this evening.
The Blues have been the Blues as of late. They're winners of 3 straight, but it's been a really streaky season for St. Louis thus far.
It's incredible. They started the year with 3 straight wins and then lost 8 in a row in regulation. That's hard to do, to lose 8 straight without picking up a point. But then they rallied with 7 straight victories. And since they've had 7 straight wins, there's been a 4-game losing streak in there. And now they arrive in town on a 3-game win streak. I mean, that is an absolute roller coaster for a team that's only played 30 games this season. So from night to night, you never know what you're going to get from the Vancouver Canucks. I think a lot of those same things can be said about the St. Louis Blues, but they do appear to be trending in the right direction coming in here after 2 wins in Alberta and a win over the Nashville Predators.
We all know about Ryan O'Reilly, Vlad Tarasenko, Braden Shen. However, a couple of young guns that are getting it done nowadays for the Blues.
Yeah, Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas lead this team. They're tied with 28 points apiece. Kyrou, the goal-scoring leader, he's got 13. That's tops on the St. Louis group. And Thomas is their top setup guy with 21 assists. So a little bit of a changing of the guard. These players have been in St. Louis and part of that organization for a couple of seasons now, but look like they're really taking a significant step forward, and so much of the offense flows through them. And for a guy like Kyrou, he comes into action tonight, 6 points in his last 3 games, so he's holding the hot hand, and the Canucks are going to have to pay particular attention to him.
Yeah, Craig Berube, teams normally known for their defensive prowess, although this year, not so steady on the back end.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Blues team that won the Stanley Cup 3 years ago, 2019. This is not the same team, though. And part of that is Alex Pietrangelo walked away. You don't replace big stud right shot number one defenseman, and they certainly haven't. Torrey Krug came in. Torrey Krug is tied with Patrick Kane for dead last in the National Hockey League in plus minus. And we know it's a flawed statistic, but you don't want to be last in that category. It tells a story. The crazy thing to me is Ryan O'Reilly is third in that category. Torrey Krug at minus 22, Ryan O'Reilly at minus 21. So it does speak to a little bit about the 5-on-5 play of this St. Louis team. And, in years gone by, and certainly their Stanley Cup year, they got some saves. That hasn't necessarily been the case either. Goaltending has been a little bit of an issue with this hockey club this season.
Yeah, the Green Jacket, it's good in golf, not so good in hockey, though. And the Blues penalty kill hasn't been very good as well, JPat, hovering right around the Canucks.
Yeah, this is one of those sort of misery loves company matchups. Only Anaheim with worse penalty killing in the National Hockey League. The crazy thing, and we've spent so much of the season documenting the problems the Vancouver Canucks have, no team has been shorthanded less than the St. Louis Blues. So they're disciplined. They don't take many penalties, but when they do, they can't kill them off. And so you're right. St. Louis comes into action tonight with penalty killing that's at 68.5%. The Canucks at 68.1. Neither of those anywhere close to good enough. And you do wonder if special teams will be a factor because of that statistic.
They say there's no place like home, but the Canucks will beg to differ with that. And as will the Blues, better road team than they are at home.
Yeah, we keep coming back to this. There's a lot of similarities between these two teams, not just their position in the overall standing, St. Louis with 31 points and the Canucks with 29, but of their 15 wins this season, 9 have come away from home, including the last 2 here over the weekend, or before the weekend, rather, in Alberta, where they beat the Oilers, a comeback win there. It looked like they weren't going to get anything, and they pulled that one out late in a shootout, and then went into Calgary, beat the Flames as well. So, yeah, the St. Louis team seems to play better on the road for whatever reason. And again, the Vancouver Canucks are in that same boat. You wonder why that is, but hey, the Blues are in their comfort zone. They're the road team tonight. The Canucks at home, just 5 home ice victories at Rogers Arena. And we'll see if they can right that ship. But it's not going to be easy against the St. Louis team that plays a lot like the Winnipeg Jets. Like, they've got some size. They try to dictate the play and the way the game goes. And we talked about some of those young offensive stars as well. So every night's a challenge for the Vancouver Canucks. This one will be as well.
Whether home or away for the Canucks, I've gone ice cold with my Bodog Best Bets. JPat, I've missed out on 7 in a row. So I'm feeling good about this one tonight, though I'm feeling also a little bit weary. I've got Spencer Martin under 27.5 saves. A little bit of juice to make some money on this one, minus 115. But the Blues do not get a lot of shots on goal. They're in the bottom half of the league in terms of shots on goal. They average 29.6. I feel 27.5 below that for Spencer Martin tonight.
Yeah, and we should mention as well, goaltending, a little interesting tidbit that Artur Silovs is going to serve as the backup tonight. Colin Delia's wife giving birth to a child, so the Canucks have made a goaltending swap at the backup position at the very least. But this is interesting because the Canucks do have back-to-backs here later in the week, and we kind of thought that Colin Delia might be in line to get one of those starts. Could Artur Silovs get thrown into National Hockey League action ahead of Christmas? We'll see about that. He's not going to start tonight, and if things go Spencer Martin and the Canucks way, Artur Silovs won't play in this hockey game, but he will serve as the backup. One other lineup note that we should mention, after wondering for a while, Travis Dermott sent to Abbotsford on a conditioning stint, and that's good news. The Abbotsford Canucks are at home to the San Jose Barracuda for the next couple of nights, Tuesday and Wednesday. So an opportunity for Travis Dermott to get some game action in for the first time this season. And if it all goes well, you would think that maybe he is an option for the Vancouver Canucks after the Christmas break. But as far as goaltending goes, Spencer Martin, wasn't a great night for him the other night. Hasn't been a great night for the or certainly wasn't a great night for the entire team in front of him either. So if they tighten things up in front of Spencer Martin, I like this one for you. I think it's maybe I'm just in the Christmas mood here, but I'm feeling that you're going to hit on one of these best bets tonight.
Boy, do I need a win big time. So do the Canucks, though. And after Saturday's debacle there are plenty of people that you could choose to do something in this game.
Yeah, well, Noah Elias Pettersson, and we said one of the things without EP40 the other night, an opportunity, particularly for JT Miller. He slid into the middle. He got to play center where he wants to play. He was between Andrei Kuzmenko and Ilya Mikheyev, and it was a flop. It was a flop for Miller. It was a flop for that line. It was an entire team flop, let's be honest. I'm going to come right back with JT Miller as my do-something guy. He's gone 9 games without a goal. Has 1 goal in his last 13 games. And on that 9-game dry stretch, I was looking at this, just 19 shots on goal. He had 5 against Minnesota last week, but otherwise it's been 2, it's been 3 on occasion. There have been a couple nights where he hasn't put a puck on net. They need more. He has to be better. He knows it. They know it. And if he doesn't score tonight, that's double digits for his goalless drought for a guy that, made goal scoring look pretty easy last season and even earlier this year. But it's been a tough go for JT Miller. And so, yes, I'm coming right back. Consecutive games for JT Miller. Let me down, let the team down the other night. We'll see what he can do, but he's got to be a whole lot better. So, JT Miller, I'm looking at you to do something to help the Vancouver Canucks skate past the St. Louis Blues at Rogers Arena tonight.
Boy, you don't want to be in JPat's crosshairs 2 games in a row. Whew, JT, you're going to have to step things up. A reminder, this is the second last day to get into our Wired Snowboards contest. Here's today's code word. Send that into the Great Clips inbox, 778-402-9680. That'll get you into a draw to win a 2023 Wired Recon Series snowboard valued at $579.99. The same board that I ride, JPat. They're based right out of East Vancouver. You can go and check out the factory. You can see the boards being made right there. Check them out, wiredsnowboards.com. Good luck to everybody that entered, and thank you to everybody that entered into the contest as well. Okay. Big night for the Canucks. As mentioned, big week ahead. St. Louis, Seattle, Edmonton, and then it's Santa time. Let's see if the Canucks can get a W on home ice, where W's are very rare for the Canucks. This has been another edition of the Rink Wide Vancouver podcast, presented by Bodog. For Jeff Patterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink Wide, it's the show that always scores.